Hey, what's going on guys? Devin here with Backcountry Exposure. What I want to do today is show you a product from a brand called Zoxy Outdoors. Now what I've got is what they're calling the Extremem Adventure Stove Kit. Now this is a full cooking kit from them, and it's, if you're looking at it, you're thinking it looks a lot like a Jetboil or like the MSR reactor or wind burner, and that's essentially what they're trying to do with this, is a competition against the Jetboil and such. Now I haven't had a lot of chance or opportunity to get a lot of use with this, so this is definitely going to be like a first impressions video, just give you an idea of what the product is like, because the price on this is $65, so it's really competitive, and I think what they have been able to come up with is something that will compete really well with the Jetboil. But I want to go ahead and open it up, do a boil test, and just give you an idea of everything that's included with it and why I like it for just my first impressions, and just give you an idea kind of what I may not like about it for my personal preference. But again, I have not been able to use this a lot, so I can't give you a full like pros and cons list from heavy use on what I like about it. Alright guys, so here is the Extremem Adventure Stove Kit here on the table. Now, the benefit to having a kit like this is you're getting something that is versatile for really any kind of backcountry setting. Now this isn't a system that I personally use often. In fact, I personally try to not use these Jetboil type stoves in general, because I feel like they have a little bit more weight to them and they are a little bit more bulky, but they definitely have a lot of really good pros about them. And one of those benefits being they are really efficient on fuel consumption. So let's go ahead and break this thing apart, give you an idea of what's included with it. Now, this is made from a really nice aluminum and stainless steel, so the pot itself is made from aluminum, and then other pieces that are part of it are made from stainless steel. So you've got this neoprene cover that goes around the pot, which makes handling the pot a lot safer and a lot easier, so you don't have to worry about like burning yourself. I could actually hold on to this way and pour water out of it that way, but it does have the attached handle to it, which I know is not something that's included in all of the Jetboil systems. But this system, to have this robust, really cool folding pot handle, is just a great feature about the pot. Now you'll notice that it does close with a similar type of closure that you would find on like the MSR reactor. Really cool system. I love how this works, and it just slides up and down on that, and then you fold the handle back and it locks in place, and you just press this little button right here and that will allow you to close it up. So lid is made from a plastic material, it's see-through, and it does also have a vent on it for boiling reasons. It does have a little like notch around there just to help the lid not move around. And I like this type of lid as opposed to having something that like sits down or folds around, kind of like a soda cup from a restaurant that you have to like press down on there. I like that this just sits on there and doesn't really like require a lot of like lifting to where you might be able to burn yourself if you were to lift that lid off like that. So the lid is a good feature. One of the things that is included with it is this additional pot stand. Now these fold out in this manner to give you a little bit wider stance for pots, and even smaller cups if you're going to be using something external like a fry pan or whatnot with the stove, instead of just using the 1 liter pot that's included with it. So that's a good feature. And then we'll pull out the stove itself that also includes a canister stand, and we'll show you that here in a second. But here is the stove. Now it's got a pretty decent sized burner. Now you'll see I have not used this very much. I've only boiled a couple times and lit this a couple times, but it does include a piezo igniter. So this piece here just folds out, which a lot of stoves are like that, and that's how you're going to control your gas and how heavy it's going to burn. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and set this all up, and then we're going to do a boil test and get an idea of how quickly this thing can boil. Okay, so I've gone ahead and screwed on the canister to the bottom. Now you don't have to use this pot stand, or excuse me, this canister stand every time that you are going to take it out, but it is a nice feature just to make the whole system a lot more stable, because this is going to sit really tall off of the ground once you get it all put together. Now you can see obviously that this has a really wide stance on the canister stand itself. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fill the pot with water. We'll get this thing lit up and show you how it goes. Okay, so something to point out before I go ahead and get this all set up is this does lock on top of the pot. So when I put this on and twist it, the pot and the stove stay together, so it becomes kind of one unit. The only downside to that is once you've got like really hot liquid inside of this, you are dealing with just hot things in general that could burn you. So you got to be really careful to make sure that you don't hurt yourself. You probably could be just fine by setting that in there and not locking it into place, but that again is just totally up to you and what your preference is. It does have this really nice windscreen around it, and the benefit to that is you're going to get, again, really good fuel efficiency, so you're not worrying about the wind blowing your flame out of the way, creating a more difficult boiling or cooking situation. That is one of the awesome benefits to these types of cooking systems, is they do have that built-in windscreen that just blocks a crazy amount of wind from the burner itself. So we'll pull this off. I've got 2 cups of water here. Now this pot on the inside does have graduation lines. So you'll see here on the inside that there are graduation lines for you to be able to get an idea of how much water is actually going into the pot. And I like that they're on the inside of the pot, which makes it really nice to measure the right amount of water for what you're doing. So let's go ahead and set this on here, and let's get this thing lit up. So the time right now is 1:58. We're just going to wait and see how quickly this thing boils. So something that I've noticed as I've just been doing some boil tests with this is it's really not that loud of a stove. It's about what you would expect from any butane canister stove, but it does really well. Okay, so we are already to a rolling boil, and that was just under 2 minutes to get that entire 2 cups to boil. Now, it is about 90 degrees out here today, so it's a little bit warmer than it would be for other boil tests that I've done, but roughly about 2 minutes for you to boil 2 cups of water. So really efficient boil time. And again, with that like corrugated pieces of metal that are in there that go around for the heat exchange, makes it so you get those quick boils. The simmer control on it is fairly decent, so you can get it down to a really low simmer, and it's controlled really easy, and that's nice. So it makes for a little bit better cooking. And then to show you this additional pot stand that's included, it just sits right on top of the system that way. So you can cook with a fry pan or something right on top of the stove itself instead of just using the pot. So there you go, guys. That is the Extremem Adventure stove from Zoxy Outdoors. I know that was just a really brief overview and doesn't really get into a lot of the specific like detailed use of the stove, but it gives you a good idea of what you're looking at when you do purchase it. Now, it's awesome. Like, I haven't experienced any issues with it in the time that I've used it, the short amount of time. And my pros definitely outweigh the cons. The cons for me are just more personal things, in that the entire kit without fuel weighs over a pound. So it's a little bit heavier in the sense that it's not an ultralight type stove, but for a full cook kit that includes an attachment to be able to use a fry pan or such on it, as well as the incredibly fast boil times, this is a really good option to compete with the Jetboil if you want to save some money. And one of the things to consider is outdoor gear has advanced so much in the past few years that whatever you buy really is going to work for the most part. Now, I can't give you an idea of the long-term use of this because it's a brand new product, but I would definitely expect this stove to last a long time and to be able to cook a lot of meals and boil a lot of water in its lifespan. So $65 to get something that competes really well with the MSR Windburner and the Jetboil, it's a really nice option, and I would definitely stand behind it. And that's not just because this particular stove was sent to me, but more so for the fact that just in my experience using it so far, it's performed well, and it has the appearance of being made well, and it's robust, it's solid, so I can't really say anything bad about the craftsmanship behind it. The real story on how well the product holds up over time is just getting out in the backcountry with it and using it in the backcountry to see how well it does. But it has everything that you would expect from a high quality piece of outdoor gear. So again, the Extremem Adventure stove from Zoxy Outdoors, really cool stove kit. Definitely recommend it from my experience so far. So thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I hope you have an awesome day.